Hi, good afternoon. I hope everybody can hear me. My name is Pearce, and I'm one of the co-founders of GB Labs, and I have the pleasure of talking to you this afternoon about our new product, Unify Hub. So we'll start kind of 15 to 20 years ago, when we all used to work in quite a different way. The video production edit suite was generally the most expensive computer that you were using, and generally it was considered the hub of the collaboration. We would exchange data between our graphics specialists and video titling. We'd even send stuff off to backup, and generally all file movements with data would happen via an external drive, such as a SCSI drive. So we had the problem of slow copying and offloading of data. We had data duplication, not knowing where data is and which is master, wasting gigabytes of our own expensive storage. Data loss was obviously a problem, and unwanted data being deleted was also a potential issue as well. Poor security and no traceability of data. Data was basically being shuffled all over the place, and things were being deleted down to make use or make space for new data coming in. This was also a very non-scalable way of doing things, and obviously the more people that got involved, the worse the problem became. Then came along shared storage. So NAS or SAN became a hub of collaboration. So instead of the workstation being that, we had a RAID protected high-speed storage at the center and everybody connecting to that. This is obviously a great way of working, and it's something that we've done for a long time now. You gain instant access because your workstations mount and work from a central storage. There's a sense of one set of data or a work in progress, where everybody is working from the same set of data and able to collaborate properly. The efficiency of this comes from not wasting capacity on multiple copies, just working from that one set of data. Obviously all your workstations connected to a NAS will be authenticated as well, and we'll be talking on secure protocols as well, potentially. This is highly scalable, as we probably already know. You can add more capacity and more speed to a NAS very easily. Certainly we can with our range. We'll wind forward now to the present day, to the situation that we're all unfortunately in as of the end of 2019. Workflows are completely fractured and people are working in all sorts of different ways. So the islands of data that we had back 15 or 20 years ago have suddenly re-emerged as we look at our workflow or our sense of central storage in a different way. So the head office is now the hub of collaboration, and at the moment there's any mixture of different ways of carrying on working during this situation, using various ways of shuffling data around with the internet or external USB drives, for example. So there's a large number of remote workers at the moment, talented people who would normally be in your office, who will be working off their internet connections, and of course contending your office internet connection as well. Cloud storage and certainly cloud services are becoming more popular as well. So this idea of data being shuffled between all sorts of different platforms is very much happening today, just as much as it was happening 15 or 20 years ago. So we have the same issues: slow copying and offloading of data, not knowing where the data is, data loss, poor security again, and this situation is obviously not scalable and requires a more thought out way of going about it. I'd like to move on to quickly discuss cloud. Lots of people fondly refer to the cloud and think that every solution that we need is available in the cloud. The cloud is really, not just storage these days. Obviously, the services and the scalable on-demand services that we can spin up in the cloud are obviously very desirable for certain situations. But the cloud is effectively, islands of data insofar as we were talking about before, but we're talking about millions of islands of data spread all across the globe. And it's not just one data center in the same country, state, town, or server even. You've effectively got many computers and many different data centers all around the globe interfacing with each other through what is effectively, high latency internet connections. The other thing to point out is that interfacing with the cloud usually requires copying to the right server and also making sure that that server has the right storage type. There's a difference between archiving and online storage in the cloud, and inevitably that means moving data around between servers and even back down again, all at your cost, based on the charging that you would have for egress, etc. So GB Labs would or are pleased to announce today at BroadcastAsia our Unify Hub product. This is something that we've been working on for a while now, and is going to be available very, very shortly. And I'd like to go through the parts of this technology that should hopefully appeal. So we've split the functionality of the proposition 5 ways here, really, or 5 pillars: Unify cloud mounts, acceleration, S3 endpoints, remote working, and virtual workspaces. So I'd like to dig in to those now. Unify Hub offers a secure single sign-in, meaning that the box itself will securely log into any variety of different cloud storage endpoints, and will do that, meaning that it can offer itself back out via standard users and groups, just like your normal NAS would. So rather than distributing the credentials for every single one of your cloud accounts and installing all of the various different softwares that would be required for a client to connect to a cloud service, the Unify does all of that for you. The Unify Hub then provides its access managed in terms of it can offer read, write, read only, based off users and groups. The second part to the first pillar is that we can mount a cloud endpoint via SMB. This essentially means that a cloud endpoint or storage in the cloud can be presented to local users in your office as a NAS SharePoint. It also means that with our new auditing built into our CoreOS software, we're able to offer auditing functionality based off those SMB connections as well. The last part of the first pillar is the one pane of glass data visibility. Unify Hub is able to see cloud storage endpoints, as many as you like, and it is also able to see its own storage. So you are working in the GUI or working within the file manager, able to see all of your destinations and sources and move data around very easily. So a very powerful interface into a variety of very different storage. The second pillar to Unify Hub is leveraging technology that GB Labs actually specializes in and has done for a long time, which is SSD acceleration, and not just dumb caching, intelligent acceleration that's designed for media usage. So the Unify Hub includes what we call flash cache, and this can be offered in various different sizes from just under 4 terabytes up to 30 terabytes. This is an invisible area built into the Unify Hub, which is effectively caching files that go through the box. So anything read or written to a cloud endpoint, for example, would be cached in, or more usefully, anything that's being pulled down from a cloud endpoint will be held inside the cache. The obvious benefit of this is that you will save hugely on egress charges. If you have 16 users all looking for the same file, with Unify Hub, it will only need to be egressed once, and then the other 15 people will pull directly from the flash cache inside the Unify Hub, and obviously not entail any further costs. So we see the technology as accelerating cloud access. Obviously, if it's in the flash cache, it will come at blazing SSD speeds across the network, which would obviously be very different to pulling it from the cloud endpoint, as it would have been the first point. There's also a smart cache that saves egress. This also critically preserves internet bandwidth. So I mentioned earlier that we're all using our internet bandwidth at home, but of course, the more workers you have trying to interface with your office, you end up with quite a big contention. So preserving internet bandwidth is really key in trying to make people work remotely or even with the cloud. The third part, or the third pillar, is an S3 endpoint. So what Unify Hub is able to do is to take an SMB SharePoint, and this could be from another NAS, doesn't necessarily need to be a GB Labs product. We can take a regular SMB SharePoint, and we can then present it as an S3 endpoint through the Unify Hub. So what this means is that cloud services and cloud storage can securely interact with your Office storage, negating the need for cloud provision storage. So that direct relationship to your on-premise storage. You can also sustain this one copy of data, the work in progress within your storage, and provide that as a virtual private cloud. So when this is shared out, you're effectively presenting your NAS box in the same way as, say, object storage would be presented in the cloud ordinarily. The fourth point is effectively an extension of that S3 sharing protocol functionality, and it gives us some very important remote working options. So remote workers obviously are looking for the similar experience as you would have in the office, and they will be working from a synchronized part of a hard drive, for example, that is then synchronized with the main storage in the office. So this is happening through the S3 protocol, and it will be done with authentication. So obviously we're offering a secure remote connection. There is the one set of data, which obviously means it's easy to manage, implement backup strategy, or even DR, but mostly keeping those files perfectly in sync. It is highly scalable, because the more people you want connecting into your office and connecting to various parts of storage, you can just simply add further Unify hubs into the equation. The Unify Hub will also work with cloud storage endpoints. So not only is your on-premise storage shared and synchronized with your remote workers, also the cloud storage endpoints can be offered out in that same way. The client itself will be running our client software, which will keep in sync with bidirectional synchronization. So any set of data that's sitting on a client at home will experience the benefit of the local disk's performance, but at the same time kept perfectly in sync with the one single set of data that all of your other colleagues would also be connected into as well. So very similar to the experience you would have in the office. That brings me on now really to the fifth pillar, which is actually probably one of the most important parts of the technology. Obviously, we've established that Unify Hub can provide remote connections to our talent, our workers that are sat at home. It can provide connectivity from our large storage in the office to cloud services and also cloud storage endpoints for archiving, for example. But what it's really, or one of its strengths, is obviously providing out to the remote users. And providing out to the remote users would be fairly difficult if we were talking about, for example, putting 100 terabytes worth of our premium storage in the office and making that available to a home user and expecting them to synchronize with it. Obviously, we need to consolidate down to smaller parts that are easier to synchronize and also a lot lighter on the bandwidth usage that you would have for your office or your end user. So the virtual workspaces allows for the picking of files and folders from various different locations within a storage endpoint, whether that's on-premise or one that is in the cloud, and effectively put together a virtual workspace which has links to all of the files that you require and none of the files that you don't require. So in the example here, we could have consolidated down into a virtual workspace of 1 terabyte, which would make it far easier for one of our home users to interface with our 100 terabyte storage. So this is a very important part of the technology. It means that we can streamline and be very efficient with how people are using the storage from an external point of view. And this can be done multiple times for multiple different workspaces. So we can feed our remote workers with just what they need rather than excessive amounts of files, folders, and data that they don't need to be seeing. So I'll just go back to really reinforcing or going through those 5 points again. The Unify cloud mounts align the local user permissions with cloud accounts to facilitate a single sign-in and simplify the secure access of cloud access on-premise. The acceleration leverages GB Labs technology to speed up the user experience, as well as reducing costs and saving internet bandwidth. The S3 endpoint connects on-premise workspaces to cloud services or remote users. And then remote working with the technology, we're providing remote workers with a seamless experience regardless of their location. Virtual workspaces gives you that simple selection of what is needed and securely making it available instantly and everywhere. So with all of these pillars together as a proposition, this is a standalone box that will come connect into your network and actually give or start giving your workers some sense of normality in terms of how they interface with the normal protected single set of data that they would be otherwise working with, and whether or not that they're working with the cloud at this point or in the future. The Unify Hub obviously provides a fairly substantial suite of functionality that allows the definition or the perception of central storage to be redefined. So rather than have, you know, just your NAS in the office with lots of performance with everybody connected into it, we're now looking at central storage as something that's transient, sitting between various different tiers or parts of a storage workflow. So we're incorporating cloud endpoints, cloud archiving, cloud services. We're incorporating our local storage, and we're sharing everything out in a compatible way. That means cloud services, or critically, our remote users can interface with our central storage in a very logical and easy way. And that really covers the technology. I'm just going to see if I can quickly play a video.
Remote working is now the key to productivity, and the need to keep your post-production team serviced with assets has created some difficult methods of media distribution, sacrificing efficiency of time, compromising security, and creating confusion. So how can you get the control and quality of service of the in-office situation with the flexibility of remote resources? Unify Hub brings managed access for your team members both in and outside the office, making the production team feel like they are seamlessly collaborative. The Unify Hub software is designed to bring an end to multiple logins and duplication of data. Unify Hub creates managed access and visibility to many cloud storage services through a single sign-on. Data and content accessed by any users is cached to a central storage, meaning faster access for all users. Cloud services can be leveraged more efficiently as Unify manages data so that it can be accessible on central storage and negating the need for much of the associated cloud storage services. Key to remote working is the Unify Hub virtual workspace capability. Sharing large amounts of unmanaged content remotely consumes unnecessary home and office bandwidth. Unify Hub allows relevant content to be assigned to remote users quickly and easily. Users save time not searching through complex file structures and can access content more efficiently. Unify Hub is available as a turnkey appliance that's going to simplify, revolutionize, and ultimately unify all aspects of media.
Okay, so that is the presentation and the video. I don't know if there is some time now for some questions, but please go ahead if there is. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoyed it. Please visit our booth to discuss further in detail. I'm happy to take all questions and I'll be there for the duration of the show. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.